Homeless black man helped billionaire single mom translate code, and this happened. Sloane Ashford sat in her Range Rover outside the Seattle Public Library, staring at lines of code on her laptop that might as well have been ancient hieroglyphics. At 33, the blonde CEO of Ashford Tech Solutions was worth $2.3 billion. But all that money meant nothing if she couldn't crack this encryption by morning. Her 8-year-old daughter, Piper, was asleep in the back seat, still wearing her ballet clothes from the recital Sloane had missed. Again, another sacrifice on the altar of business success, another moment of childhood she'd never get back. "Mommy?" Piper stirred. "Why are we at the library?" "Shh, baby. Go back to sleep. Mommy's just working on something important." The encryption challenge had come from Griffin Montgomery, the venture capitalist threatening a hostile takeover of her company. He'd embedded critical acquisition documents in a code that her entire tech team couldn't break, giving her until 9 a.m. tomorrow to decode it or lose majority control of the company she'd built from nothing. Sloane had tried everything, hired consultants, contacted old professors, even reached out to competitors. But the code was unlike anything she'd seen, mixing programming languages in ways that seemed impossible. Through her windshield, she noticed a figure hunched on the library steps, a black man in his late 30s, wearing layers of worn clothing and surrounded by shopping bags that clearly held his worldly possessions. He had a battered laptop balanced on his knees, fingers moving across the keyboard with surprising speed. Homeless, probably using the library's Wi-Fi before they closed for the night. Sloane's first instinct was to look away, to focus on her own problems. But something about the way he typed, with the kind of focused intensity she recognized from her own coding days, made her pause. Before she could talk herself out of it, she grabbed her laptop and walked toward him. "Excuse me," she said, and watched him tense immediately, protective hands moving over his belongings. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I saw you working on a laptop and I'm desperate for help with a coding problem." The man looked up, his dark eyes sharp with intelligence, despite the exhaustion evident on his face. "You want coding help from a homeless man?" "I want coding help from someone who looks like they know what they're doing. The homeless part is irrelevant." For the first time in what looked like a long time, Thaddeus Cole found himself intrigued. "Hello, my Stop Racism family. Thank you for tuning in today. Before we dive deeper into this beautiful love story, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your country and state in the comments below. Also, I'd love to know your thoughts. What did you think of the story so far? Do you believe love can truly conquer prejudice? Let us know in the comments. We love reading them. And trust me, your words motivate us to keep making these videos. Let's make this video reach at least 50 comments. Your support means the world to us, and it drives us to create even more emotional content for you. So don't forget to comment, share, and keep spreading love. "What kind of code?" Thaddeus asked, his tone suggesting he was used to people dismissing him, but still curious enough to engage. "Encryption. Multi-layered, combining Python, JavaScript, and what looks like a proprietary algorithm I can't identify." Thaddeus's eyebrows rose slightly. "Show me." Sloane hesitated for just a moment. This man was a stranger, and the code contained sensitive corporate information, but she was out of options, and something about his eyes suggested competence beyond his circumstances. She turned her laptop screen toward him, watching as his eyes scanned the lines of code with practiced ease. "Interesting," he murmured. "This is using quantum encryption principles adapted for classical computing. Whoever wrote this understands both theoretical and applied cryptography at a very high level. Can you break it?" "Can I? Yes. Will I? That depends. On what? On what you're willing to pay." Sloane straightened, back in familiar territory. "How much?" "A meal. A real one, not fast food. And maybe a chance to take a shower somewhere." The request was so modest, compared to what she'd been prepared to offer, that Sloane felt ashamed of her initial assumptions about what a homeless person would want. "That's it? You can crack encryption that stumped my entire tech team, and all you want is dinner and a shower." "Lady, when you've been living on the streets for 18 months, those things feel like luxuries. Everything else is just noise." "Deal. But I need it done by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Let me work. And maybe you should check on your daughter. She's been watching us through the car window for the past 5 minutes." Sloane turned to see Piper's face pressed against the glass, eyes wide with curiosity about what her mother was doing talking to a homeless man. She's fine. She's used to me working odd hours. She looks scared. She's not scared, she's just... Sloane stopped herself. When had she become someone who didn't even recognize fear in her own child's eyes? Go be with her, Thaddeus said gently. I'll work on this. But can I make a suggestion? What? Next time you have to work late, maybe don't bring an 8-year-old to a dark parking lot. There are people out here who'd see her as an opportunity, not a child. The quiet concern in his voice, from a man who had every reason to focus only on his own survival, hit Sloane harder than any business critique she'd ever received. I'll take her home first, then I'll come back with food and we'll find you that shower. 2 hours later, Sloane returned to find Thaddeus exactly where she'd left him, his face illuminated by the laptop screen, fingers flying across keys with the kind of focused intensity she remembered from her own coding days before business responsibilities had taken over. I sent Piper home with my assistant Camilla, Sloane said, setting down bags from an upscale restaurant. I brought steak, pasta, salad. I wasn't sure what you'd want. All of it, Thaddeus said without looking up. I'm not picky when I'm actually eating real food. As he continued working, Sloane found herself studying him more carefully. Despite the worn clothing and obvious exhaustion, there was something refined about the way he moved, the way he approached the problem with methodical precision. How long have you been homeless? She asked, then immediately regretted the personal question. 18 months, since my life fell apart. What happened? Same thing that happens to a lot of people. I got sick, lost my job, lost my insurance, couldn't afford my apartment. Add in some bad luck and worse decisions, and here I am. But you clearly have skills. You're working on code that my team of experts couldn't crack. Thaddeus finally looked up, his expression unreadable. Ms. Sloane Ashford. His eyes widened slightly. Ashford Tech Solutions. You're that Sloane Ashford? You've heard of me? Every coder has heard of you. You built one of the most innovative software companies in the country, revolutionized cloud security, and you're... He stopped himself. And I'm what? You're one of the few tech CEOs who actually understands the technology instead of just the business side. Used to understand. I haven't written code myself in 5 years. Why not? Because I have a company to run, investors to manage, a daughter to raise. Mostly alone since her father decided fatherhood wasn't for him. There's no time for the actual work I love when you're drowning in the work you're obligated to do. Thaddeus studied her face with surprising insight. Sounds lonely. Sounds like success. Sloane corrected automatically, then heard how hollow the words sounded. Those aren't mutually exclusive. You can be successful and lonely. Trust me, I used to be both. And now you're just homeless? Now I'm free from the prison of expectations. Not sure if that's better or worse, but at least it's honest. Sloane watched as he returned his attention to the code, his fingers moving with the muscle memory of someone who'd spent years perfecting his craft. Thaddeus, what did you do before you became homeless? I was chief technology officer at a startup called Nexus Systems. We were developing AI algorithms for predictive analytics. Sloane's breath caught. I tried to acquire Nexus Systems 3 years ago. I know. I was the one who recommended we reject your offer. You turned down my acquisition offer? Sloane felt her professional walls going up. That was a very generous offer. It was a very controlling offer. You wanted full rights to our technology, complete restructuring of our team, and elimination of our community-focused initiatives. We weren't for sale at that price. So what happened to Nexus? Thaddeus's jaw tightened. My business partner Warren got greedy. Behind my back, he negotiated with your competitor Titan Corp, gave them everything you wanted plus our core algorithms. By the time I found out, the deal was done. But you were CTO. How could he do that without your approval? Because Warren was white and well-connected, and I was the black tech genius who was difficult to work with. When it came down to believing him or me, the board chose him. Then they forced me out, claimed I'd violated my non-compete, tied up my assets in litigation. That's illegal. It's also expensive to fight. I ran out of money before I could clear my name. Lost everything. My job, my reputation, my health insurance. Started having panic attacks that made it impossible to interview for new positions. And here we are, Sloane felt something uncomfortable twisting in her stomach. She'd built her empire by being ruthless, by seeing opportunities and taking them without questioning the human cost. How many people like Thaddeus had been casualties of her success? I'm sorry that happened to you, are you? Because I have to wonder, if you'd known what Titan was doing to Nexus, would you have stopped them or would you have done the same thing? The question hung in the air between them, challenging her to be honest with herself. I don't know, she admitted finally. 3 years ago, I probably would have seen it as just business. And now? Now I'm sitting in a library parking lot asking a homeless man for help because my own ruthless tactics are being used against me. Karma's funny that way. What do you mean? Sloane explained Griffin Montgomery's hostile takeover attempt, the encrypted documents, the deadline that was rapidly approaching. Wait, Thaddeus said slowly. Montgomery is behind this. You know him? He was the primary investor in Nexus. He's the one who supported Warren's betrayal and helped bury me in legal fees. Their eyes met. Recognition of shared experience passing between them. So, this isn't just encryption, Thaddeus said. This is Montgomery testing you, seeing if you're vulnerable. He did the same thing to me. Created an impossible situation just to watch me fail. Can you still crack it? Oh, I can crack it. But Sloane, breaking this code won't solve your real problem. Montgomery isn't going to stop. He's going to keep coming at you until he destroys everything you've built. Then what do? You do what I couldn't do. You fight back, but not alone. What are you proposing? Sloane asked. I crack this code, which will buy you time. But then we go further. We find out what Montgomery is really after, expose his pattern of destroying companies and people, and we do it together. Why would you help me? I'm part of the system that destroyed you. Because you're also a single mother trying to protect what she built. Because you actually asked for my help instead of pretending I was invisible. Because, he paused, because maybe we both deserve a second chance. Sloane studied his face, seeing past the exhaustion and worn clothing to the brilliant mind and broken heart underneath. If we do this, if I bring you into my company to help fight Montgomery, my board will lose their minds. The investors will question my judgment. The media will have a field day with Billionaire hires homeless man. So it could damage everything I've worked for. Or it could be exactly what you need. Someone who understands Montgomery's tactics because he survived them. Someone who knows technology as well as you do. Someone who has nothing left to lose and everything to prove. What do you want in return, besides dinner and a shower? Thaddeus looked down at his laptop, at the code he was systematically deconstructing. I want my reputation back. I want people to know I'm not the fraud Warren painted me as. And I want to make sure Montgomery never does to anyone else what he did to me and is trying to do to you. That's it? No money? Money won't mean anything if I'm still sleeping on the streets. But helping take down the man who destroyed me? That's worth more than any salary. Sloane made a decision that terrified and exhilarated her in equal measure. Okay, here's the deal. You crack this code by morning, and I hire you as a consultant to help me fight Montgomery. I'll set you up in a hotel temporarily, get you proper clothes, access to resources. If you help me win this fight, I'll clear your name publicly and set you up with whatever you need to rebuild your career. And if we lose, then we'll have lost fighting instead of giving up. Thaddeus extended his hand, and when Sloane took it, she felt the calluses from sleeping rough mixed with the strength of someone who refused to be defeated. Deal. Now let me show you what I've found in this code. It's worse than you thought. For the next 3 hours, they worked side by side, Thaddeus explaining the intricacies of the encryption, while Sloane took notes and asked questions. Somewhere around 2 a.m., she realized she was enjoying herself, actually doing the technical work she loved instead of just managing it. You missed this, Thaddeus observed, watching her face light up as she understood a particularly complex algorithm. I miss a lot of things. My daughter, doing work that matters, feeling like myself instead of just playing the role of CEO. Maybe you can have both. Maybe. If we survive Montgomery. When we survive Montgomery, I don't lose twice to the same enemy. By 4 a.m., Thaddeus had cracked the encryption. The documents revealed exactly what Sloane had suspected. Montgomery was planning to acquire her company, strip its assets, and sell off the technology piece by piece for maximum profit. He's done this before, Thaddeus said. pulling up files on his laptop. I've been tracking his pattern for months. Nexus was just one of 7 companies he's destroyed using similar tactics. You've been investigating him while living on the streets? I've been living for this. Every day at the library, every moment I could access Wi-Fi, I've been building a case against him. I just never had the resources or credibility to do anything with the information. And now you have both. Now we have both. But Sloane, there's something else you need to know. What? The reason Montgomery is targeting you specifically, it's not just about money. It's personal. How? Thaddeus pulled up an old photograph on his screen. It showed a younger Montgomery with a woman who looked strikingly similar to Sloane. Who was that? That's Sloane Ashford, your mother. 25 years ago, she rejected Montgomery's business proposal and chose to start her own company with your father instead. Sloane felt the room spin. My mother knew Montgomery. More than that, she embarrassed him publicly when she chose your father's vision over his. Montgomery has spent decades building an empire, and watching your mother's daughter succeed where he failed has been eating at him. So this is revenge. This is unfinished business. And Sloane, if we're going to beat him, we need to understand something important. He's not going to stop with your company. He's going to come after everything you care about. As if on cue, Sloane's phone rang. It was Camilla, her voice tight with panic. Sloane, someone tried to break into your house tonight. Piper's fine. Security stopped them. But the police found documents about Ashford Tech in the intruder's car. Sloane's blood ran cold. Is Piper there? Let me talk to her. Mommy. Piper's small voice was terrifying. There was a bad man trying to get in. I was so scared. I know, baby. I'm coming home right now. Camilla's there and you're safe. After she hung up, Sloane looked at Thaddeus with fury and fear mixing in her eyes. He went after my daughter. That's who he is. He destroys everything you love to make you surrender. What do? You do what your mother would have done. You fight back harder than he expects. And you let me help you because I know how he operates. Thaddeus, I can't put you in danger. I'm already in danger. The only question is whether I face it with you or alone. Sloane made a decision in that moment that would change both their lives. She chose to trust someone she barely knew because he'd proven himself when it mattered most. Okay, you're hired. Let's take down Montgomery together. How's this story hitting you so far? Tell us in the comments. If you're loving it, type 1. If not, type 0. We want to know what you think. The next morning, Sloane brought Thaddeus to her home, a sprawling estate in Mercer Island that felt more like a fortress than a family residence. Security was everywhere, responding to the attempted break-in with military precision. This is where you live? Thaddeus asked, taking in the marble entrance and soaring ceilings. This is where I keep my daughter safe, or thought I did. Piper appeared at the top of the stairs, her eyes widening when she saw the man from the library parking lot standing in their foyer. Piper, this is Thaddeus. He's going to be working with Mommy for a while. The homeless man? Piper asked with childhood directness. Piper? Sloane's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, but Thaddeus laughed. Yes, I am currently experiencing homelessness, but your mom is helping me with that, and I'm helping her with some work problems. Are you smart? I like to think so. Mommy says she only works with the smartest people. Then I guess I should try to live up to that standard. Sloane showed Thaddeus to the guest suite, watching his face as he took in the luxury bathroom, the king-sized bed, the closet full of clothes she'd had her assistant purchase in his size. This is too much, he said quietly. This is the least I can do for someone who saved my company. Sloane, I can't accept charity. It's not charity. It's payment for services rendered and services to come. Unless you'd rather go back to the library steps? He turned to face her, and for the first time, she saw vulnerability beneath his competent exterior. I've spent 18 months learning to expect nothing from people. This, he gestured around the room, this is more than I've dared to hope for in a very long time. Then consider it a down payment on hope. Over the next week, Thaddeus transformed before Sloane's eyes. Clean-shaven, well-dressed, properly rested. He looked every inch the tech executive he'd once been. But more than his appearance changed, his confidence returned, his sharp wit emerged, and his strategic brilliance became impossible to ignore. Your team doesn't trust me, he observed after his first meeting with Sloane's executives. They're wondering why you brought in an outsider, especially one with my background. Let them wonder. Results matter more than their opinions, do they? Because I notice you haven't told anyone where you found me. Sloane felt defensive. I'm protecting you. If Montgomery finds out you're helping me, he'll try to discredit you. Or you're ashamed of how we met. Ashamed that you needed help from someone society decided wasn't worth helping. The accusation stung because it held a grain of truth. I'm not ashamed of you, Thaddeus. Then why haven't you told your daughter the full story? Why does your staff think I'm just another consultant instead of knowing I was sleeping on library steps? Because I'm trying to give you a fresh start, a chance to be seen for your abilities, not your circumstances. Or you're trying to rewrite our story to fit your comfortable narrative. The tension between them crackled with unspoken challenges, and growing attraction neither was ready to acknowledge. As they developed their strategy against Montgomery, Sloane and Thaddeus fell into a natural partnership. His technical expertise combined with her business acumen created something neither could achieve alone. Look at this, Thaddeus said one evening, both of them working late in Sloane's home office. Montgomery's been using shell companies to hide his acquisitions. But if we trace the ownership patterns, we can prove he's been violating antitrust regulations. Sloane finished, her excitement evident. Exactly. This isn't just about saving your company. It's about exposing systematic corporate fraud. They worked in comfortable silence for a while. The only sound the clicking of keyboards and the occasional question or observation. Somewhere around midnight, Piper appeared in the doorway in her pajamas. "Mommy, I can't sleep. Come here, baby." Sloane opened her arms, and Piper climbed into her lap. "Is the bad man going to come back?" "No, sweetheart. We have extra security now, and Thaddeus is helping Mommy make sure nothing bad happens." Piper studied Thaddeus with the frank curiosity of children. "Are you living here now?" "Just for a little while until I can find my own place." "Were you really homeless? Like the people I see downtown with signs?" "Piper, that's not polite," Sloane interjected. "It's okay," Thaddeus said gently. "Yes, I was. I lost my job and my home, and for a while I had to live on the streets. That must have been scary." "It was. But it also taught me important things, like being grateful for kindness when people show it, and never judging someone based on where they live or what they look like." "Is that why you're helping Mommy? Because she was kind to you?" "That's part of it. But mostly I'm helping because your mom is fighting someone who hurt me too. And together, we're stronger than we are alone." "Like superheroes?" Thaddeus smiled, the expression transforming his face from handsome to genuinely warm. "Exactly like superheroes." After Sloane put Piper to bed, she returned to find Thaddeus staring out the window at the Seattle skyline. "You're good with her," Sloane observed. "Kids are honest. It's refreshing after dealing with adults who judge everything through the lens of bias and assumptions." "I'm sorry my team has been difficult." "They're protecting you. I understand that. What I don't understand is why you need protecting from me." "I don't." "Yes, you do. You're keeping me at arm's length, treating me like a consultant instead of a partner." Sloane struggled with honesty. "Because I'm attracted to you, and that complicates everything." The admission hung in the air between them, honest and vulnerable. "You think I don't feel it too?" Thaddeus turned to face her. "From that first night in the parking lot, I've been drawn to you. Not because you're rich or beautiful or successful, but because you saw me when everyone else looked away. Thaddeus, I'm your employer. There's a power dynamic. There's always a power dynamic between people. The question is whether we're brave enough to navigate it honestly. And if it doesn't work, if we try this and fail, then at least we tried. Isn't that better than wondering what might have been?" Sloane moved closer, close enough to see the vulnerability and hope in his eyes. "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be someone's partner instead of just their boss or their conquest." "Then let's figure it out together. No pretense, no power plays, just two people trying to build something real." Their moment was interrupted by Sloane's phone ringing. Detective Hayes from Seattle PD had disturbing news. "Ms. Ashford, we've identified the intruder from last week. His name is Vincent Carter, and he's a private investigator with ties to Griffin Montgomery." "So Montgomery did send him." "There's more. Carter has been conducting surveillance on you for weeks. Photos of your daughter's school, your routines, your associates. We also found evidence that he's been investigating Mr. Cole." Sloane's blood ran cold. "What kind of evidence?" Documentation about Mr. Cole's history with Nexus Systems, his homelessness, his mental health struggles. It appears Montgomery is building a case to discredit both of you. After the call, Sloane turned to Thaddeus, seeing the resignation in his eyes. "He's going to use me against you," Thaddeus said flatly. "He's going to paint me as unstable, as someone you foolishly trusted who put your company and daughter at risk. Let him try. We have evidence of his crimes. Evidence won't matter if he destroys your credibility first." "Sloane, maybe I should leave. Go back to what? Living on the streets? Giving Montgomery exactly what he wants? Protecting you and Piper? That's what matters. No. What matters is standing together and refusing to let him win." The next morning, Montgomery's attack came through the media. Seattle Business Journal ran a front-page story. Ashford CEO's questionable judgment. Billionaire brings homeless man with mental health issues into family home. The article was a masterpiece of manipulation, acknowledging Thaddeus's credentials while emphasizing his concerning instability and questioning Sloane's judgment in bringing someone potentially dangerous around her vulnerable daughter. "I'm sorry," Thaddeus said, reading the article over breakfast. "I'm so sorry for bringing this to your door. You didn't bring it. Montgomery did, and we're going to fight back." "How?" "They're right about me. I did have panic attacks. I did lose everything. I was homeless. Those are facts they can use to make me look unreliable. Those are facts that show you're human, that you survived impossible circumstances and still had the strength to help someone else." "Thaddeus, shame is only powerful when we let it control us." "Easy for you to say. You've never had to face this kind of public humiliation, haven't I? I'm a single mother who built a tech empire. Do you know how many times I've been called a diversity hire or a lucky climber who slept her way to success? Do you know how many times people have questioned my competence, my judgment, my ability to be both a mother and a CEO? That's different. It's exactly the same. Montgomery is using your vulnerabilities the same way people have tried to use mine. The only difference is that you're letting it work." Thaddeus stared at her, seeing not just the billionaire CEO, but the woman who'd faced her own battles with society's expectations and prejudices. "What do? We go public. We tell our story, the real story, before Montgomery can twist it further. We show people that strength isn't the absence of struggle. It's the courage to overcome it. That's incredibly risky. So is doing nothing." "Thaddeus, I learned something important from you. Sometimes you have to trust people enough to show them your truth, even when it's messy. And if they judge us, then they were never going to be on our side anyway." Sloane arranged an interview with Cynthia Roberts, a respected tech journalist known for fair coverage. Instead of a corporate statement, she invited Cynthia to her home for a candid conversation about everything: Thaddeus's role, Montgomery's manipulation, and the larger issues of homelessness and corporate ethics. "Let me be clear," Sloane said during the interview, with Thaddeus beside her. "I met Thaddeus when my car broke down, and I was desperate for help with a coding problem. He was homeless, yes. He was also the most qualified person available, and I was smart enough to recognize expertise regardless of where I found it." "But Ms. Ashford," Cynthia pressed, "didn't you worry about the risk of bringing a stranger into your home, around your daughter? Every hiring decision involves risk. The difference is that we usually judge that risk based on credentials and references. I judged it based on competence and character, and I was right. Thaddeus helped me break encryption my entire team couldn't crack. More importantly, he treated my daughter with kindness and respect when he had every reason to focus only on his own survival." Thaddeus spoke up, his voice steady despite the vulnerability of the moment. "I want to address the mental health concerns directly. Yes, I struggled with panic attacks after losing everything. Yes, I experienced homelessness and all the trauma that comes with it. But those struggles don't define my capabilities or my character." "What do you say to people who question Ms. Ashford's judgment in hiring you?" "I say that judging someone's worth based on their worst moment rather than their abilities is exactly the kind of bias that keeps talented people locked out of opportunities. I say that Ms. Ashford's judgment has been proven correct by results, not by conventional wisdom." Sloane reached over and took Thaddeus's hand, a gesture of partnership that the cameras captured clearly. "Here's what people need to understand," she said. "Griffin, Montgomery isn't attacking Thaddeus because he's unqualified. He's attacking him because Thaddeus survived Montgomery's attempt to destroy him once before and is now helping me expose Montgomery's pattern of corporate manipulation. You're saying this is retaliation? I'm saying Montgomery has destroyed multiple companies and countless lives using these exact tactics. We have evidence, and we're prepared to share it with regulators and the public. After the interview aired, response was immediate and divided. Some praised Sloane's courage in challenging corporate corruption and societal bias. Others criticized her judgment and questioned whether she was fit to lead a major company. But the tide began to turn when other victims of Montgomery's tactics started coming forward, sharing their own stories of manipulation and destruction. "It's working," Thaddeus said. "Watching the news coverage, people are listening." "No," Sloane corrected. "We're working together. And that's what Montgomery never counted on, that we'd be stronger together than we were apart." As the case against Montgomery built momentum, Sloane and Thaddeus found themselves spending almost every moment together, working late into the night, strategizing over breakfast, presenting evidence to regulators and the press. Somewhere in that intense collaboration, professional partnership had become something deeper. "Mommy likes Mr. Thaddeus," Piper observed one morning with childlike directness. "She smiles more when he's here." "What makes you say that, sweetheart?" "Because you sing in the kitchen now. You never sing unless you're really happy." That evening, after Piper was asleep, Sloane found Thaddeus on the terrace, staring out at the city lights reflecting off Puget Sound. "She's right, you know," Sloane said, joining him. "I do smile more when you're here." "Sloane, we need to talk about what happens after this is over. After we take down Montgomery, after I'm no longer the homeless man you rescued, after I rebuild my career and my life, after the story that brought us together isn't the story we're living anymore." Sloane felt her heart clench. "You're planning to leave?" "I'm planning to stand on my own 2 feet. I can't be your project forever, Sloane. I can't be the charity case who lives in your house and works at your company. Is that what you think you are to me? A charity case? I don't know what I am to you. Partner? Employee? The homeless man you saved who happened to be useful?" Sloane moved closer, close enough to see the vulnerability and hope warring in his dark eyes. "You're the man who saw me at my most desperate and offered help without judgment. You're the person who makes me laugh at 2 a.m. when we're drowning in code. You're the one who taught my daughter that strength isn't about never falling down, it's about getting back up. And you're the man I've fallen in love with, which terrifies me, because I don't know how to do this without messing it up." Thaddeus stared at her, searching her face for any hint of doubt or pity. "You love me? I love you, not because you needed saving, not because we make good partners, but because you're brilliant and kind and stubborn enough to challenge me when I'm wrong. Because you see past my money and my success to the woman who's still figuring out how to be both a CEO and a human being." "Sloane, people are going to have opinions. They're going to say you're with me because you feel guilty, or I'm with you because you're rich. Let them talk. I spent my whole life caring what people thought, building what they expected, being who they wanted me to be, and I was miserable." She took his hands, holding them firmly. "You taught me something important, that asking for help isn't weakness, that vulnerability is strength, that the right person sees your worth even when society says you're worthless. Now I'm asking, will you build a real life with me? Not as my employee or my charity case, but as my partner in every sense? What about Piper? What about your company? What about us? What about choosing what we want instead of what we're afraid of?" Thaddeus pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was precious and strong at the same time. "I love you too. I've been in love with you since that night in the parking lot when you looked at a homeless man and saw someone worth trusting. But Sloane, I need to know, are you ready for what this means?" "What does it mean?" "It means building a life together where we're equals, where I'm not the grateful recipient of your generosity, but your actual partner, where we face Montgomery and the media and all the judgment together, not with you protecting me, but with us protecting each other." "Yes," she said simply. "Yes to all of it. Yes to being equals. Yes to facing everything together. Yes to building something real instead of something safe." He kissed her then, and it felt like coming home and setting out on an adventure at the same time. 3 months later, the case against Griffin Montgomery reached its climax. With evidence compiled by Sloane and Thaddeus, federal regulators filed charges of securities fraud, corporate manipulation, and conspiracy. "The evidence is overwhelming," announced U.S. Attorney Ramona Singh at a press conference. "Mr. Montgomery has engaged in a pattern of predatory business practices designed to destroy companies and enrich himself at the expense of shareholders, employees, and innocent victims." But the real victory came when Thaddeus stood at that same podium, no longer the homeless man from the library steps, but a respected technology expert whose reputation had been restored. "Griffin Montgomery destroyed my career and my life because I refused to compromise my integrity," Thaddeus said, his voice steady and strong. He tried to do the same to Sloane Ashford, but what he didn't count on was that some people fight back, and some partnerships are stronger than any attack. In the audience, Sloane watched with Piper beside her, pride evident on both their faces. "Mr. Cole," asked a journalist, "what's next for you professionally?" "I'm joining Ashford Tech Solutions as Chief Technology Officer, not because of my relationship with Ms. Ashford, but because my expertise and her vision create something neither of us could build alone." After the press conference, as they walked to the car, Piper tugged on Thaddeus's sleeve. "Does this mean you're staying with us forever? If that's okay with you, will you be my dad?" The question stopped both adults in their tracks. Sloane had been so focused on navigating her relationship with Thaddeus that she hadn't considered how Piper was processing everything. "Piper, Mr. Thaddeus and I'd be honored," Thaddeus said, kneeling to Piper's level. "But being a dad is serious business. It means I'll be there for school plays and bedtime stories. It means I'll help with homework and worry about you when you're late. It means I'll love you like you're mine, because you are." Piper threw her arms around his neck. "I've been wishing for a dad who's nice to Mommy and makes her sing." That evening, as they celebrated with dinner at home, Sloane's phone rang with unexpected news. "That was the Tech Innovation Foundation," she said, returning to the table. "They want to give us an award for ethical business practices and using technology for social good." "Us?" Thaddeus asked. "You and me." They specifically mentioned how our partnership, bringing someone from homelessness to corporate leadership, demonstrates the kind of innovative thinking that transforms industries. "So the homeless man who helped translate code gets an award?" "No," Sloane corrected, taking his hand. "The brilliant technologist who refused to be defined by his circumstances gets recognition he always deserved. We did this together. Everything worth doing, we'll do together." Later, after Piper was asleep, they stood on the terrace where they'd first confessed their feelings, watching the city lights paint the night sky. "Do you ever think about that first night?" Sloane asked. "When I walked up to you on those library steps?" "Every day. It was the night my life changed." "Mine too. I was so lost, so desperate, so convinced I had to solve everything alone. And now? Now I know that asking for help was the bravest thing I've ever done. That the man I almost feared became the love of my life. That sometimes the people society overlooks are exactly the people we need most." How's this story hitting you so far? Tell us in the comments. If you're loving it, type 1. If not, type 0. We want to know what you think. 2 years later, Dr. Thaddeus Cole stood at the podium of the National Technology Conference, delivering the keynote address about innovation, second chances, and the importance of seeing potential in unexpected places. "When I was homeless," he told the audience of thousands, "I thought my life was over. I thought losing everything meant I was nothing. But I learned something important. Your worth isn't determined by your circumstances. It's determined by your character, your capabilities, and your willingness to keep going even when everything seems impossible." In the front row, Sloane watched her husband with the same admiration she'd felt that first night, amplified by everything they'd built together. Beside her, Piper, now 10, whispered, "Dad's really good at speeches." "He's good at everything he does," Sloane replied, squeezing her daughter's hand. After the speech, they returned to their home. No longer just Sloane's estate, but truly their family home, filled with Thaddeus's book collection, Piper's art projects, and the warmth of a life built on love rather than obligation. "The foundation board approved our proposal," Sloane announced over dinner. We're moving forward with the Second Chance Initiative, job training and placement for people experiencing homelessness who have technical skills. How many participants in the pilot program? Thaddeus asked. 20 to start. We're partnering with 5 tech companies who've committed to actual employment, not just internships. Your dad helped create this, Sloane told Piper. His experience showed us how many talented people get lost because society stops seeing their potential. Is Dad going to help them like you helped him? We're going to help them together, Thaddeus said. The same way we do everything important, as partners. That night, after Piper was asleep, Sloane found Thaddeus in his study, looking at an old photo of himself from his homeless days. What are you thinking about? She asked. About how one moment of kindness changed everything. If you hadn't stopped that night, if you hadn't seen past your fear and my circumstances, we would have found each other eventually. Some connections are inevitable. You really believe that? I believe that you and I were meant to teach each other something important. You taught me that real strength includes vulnerability, that asking for help is courage, that the right partner makes you braver instead of weaker. And what did you teach me? That some people do see your worth, that rebuilding is possible, that love doesn't require perfection, it requires honesty. Thaddeus pulled her close, grateful for the 1,000th time for the rainy night, the broken-down car, the desperate CEO who'd chosen to ask a homeless man for help. To think it all started with code, he mused. It started with courage, Sloane corrected. Mine in asking for help, yours in giving it. And look what we decoded together. Not just encryption, but the possibility of building something real from the most unlikely beginning. The best things always have unlikely beginnings. As they stood together in the life they'd built, successful, whole, loved, neither could imagine how it might have been different if prejudice or pride had won that night. But love had won instead. Love and the courage to see past circumstances to the human being underneath. And that made all the difference.